This is Scott the Fix-It Guy. This is to show a modification of a folding knife that I made. I used some old furniture from a kind of a cheap knife, removed the blade, and then used some 1080 steel to create a new type of blade, Tanto shape. And this is kind of how I did it. So here's the kind of rough blade before we ground it down, made of 1080 steel. So I cut it out of this stock. I got the stock 1080 steel from Amazon, and I just traced the shape from a Tanto shape knife, and then I cut out the back pieces based upon the old blade that was in there. The old blade was kind of a cheapo blade made in China, so this is a much better steel, and I wanted to change it to a Tanto shape. But using the old blade backside gave me an idea of where to grind so that I could line up the hole and line up the liner lock. I use an angle grinder to cut out the steel once I trace the lines, trace the shape. And here I'm just drilling the hole, and this is where the pivot goes through. And I just totally copied the back side of the blade that came with the knife. Then I used some of this furnace cement to coat the areas of the blade that I wanted to remain soft when I did the heat treat. So I just really wanted to get the hard parts, the Japanese call the ha parts of the blade, to be hard, but I wanted the rest of it to be soft. So I put that in the vise just to hold it, and then I coated all these areas with the furnace cement. And I got the forge hot, and I placed the blade with the sharp part pointing up into the flame, and basically got that cherry red hot, almost yellow hot. And then I quenched it in oil so I could get that part of the blade much harder. So here's the actual forging. And didn't take too long. So the parts where the cement are don't get as hot, and so that part of the steel will remain more pliable or soft. It can take more shock absorbing without breaking, but the part that you sharpen, you want that to be hard. So here's it after it was forged with the cement still on there. So then I scraped off the cement and took it to the grinder to shape it, to get the primary and secondary grinds, and to get some of the stuff off. So once you get it where you want it, running a file against it's good, just to make sure you know that the steel is hard. And next thing is I used a variable speed grinder to get all that cement off, and then to put on the primary and secondary grinds. And did a little bit of grinding near the back where the liner lock locks in, just to get it to fit correctly. So got all that done. And my goal is just to have a more customized knife. The furniture that came with it was already really nice, but the blade was just kind of cheap. So it was a lot of fun to build it and put it together. So this was the original blade that was part of this knife, and just kind of a cheap made in China type of a blade, but pretty good design. Has a nice index finger relief here, a nice ramp for the thumb. Has a long enough handle so you have a pummel, and has a nice liner lock. So I used the piece of steel to trace the dimensions of the hole and some of these parts of the old blade and then I use a Tanto style shape. Still has the wave feature, and worked out pretty good. Liner lock works good. Locks up really nice. Still got the wave feature, nice ramp, and it's very sharp. Sharpened it on the grinder. So pretty fun. My first folding blade. It's tempered, very strong, very sharp, and very good locking up design. So kind of fun. Took a cheap knife, cheap steel, and turn it into something really nice. I think the next thing I'll do is I'll put some serrations here in the lower part of the Tanto blade. Thanks so much for watching, and please subscribe to our channel when you get a chance. Thanks again.